Hi everyone, welcome to Living Linkie Style. It is summer and I'm so excited because we had a long drawn out winter this year and I'm just ready to cook up a storm grill. I hope you guys have been grilling. But something I love about summertime is all the fresh herbs you get to grow. If you guys have gardens at home, you probably love your rosemary and your basil and your oregano and your fresh homegrown tomatoes. I love that too, and I love to go to farmers markets and pick those up. So my favorite herb is basil. So today everything is about pesto because that's what I usually do. Sometimes you grow all these herbs and you end up with a lot of basil and you don't know what to do with it after a while. Well, you can make basil because basil will keep for a really long time in your refrigerator. So a lot of times people blanch their basil before they make their pesto. I do it fresh. I love that fresh aroma of the basil. It just does something for me. So today I'm going to do a pesto pizza with some fresh tomatoes that I've picked up at the farmer's market. I've got some fresh mozzarella, or mozzarella like the Italians say it. And then we're also going to do a pasta that we're going to fold in some pesto and with lots of different cherry tomatoes. There's some assorted medley tomatoes right here, some peppers, yellow and orange, and some of these mini cucumbers. I love these. They're just so nice and sweet and perfect for any salad. So without any ado, let's get started. So I absolutely love my blender. I do almost anything in there, and we're gonna add some fresh basil leaves, and I usually just break off the little stems, keep them separate. And I usually just break off the little leaves off of the stems. You can just set the stems apart. Now, what I find the best way to keep my herbs nice and fresh is you basically treat it like you would your flowers. I usually set it in a little bit of water, like I've done here, a little bit of water, and then pop it in the refrigerator. Something else you can do if you don't want to keep that open can of water in your refrigerator is you can also take a paper towel, wet it slightly, and then go from there. Now, if you have some basil, say somebody gave you some basil, if you didn't grow your own, if you've got some basil and it wilted just a little bit, don't worry about it. If it's wilted slightly, it's not a problem because remember, we're going to grind all of this up. So we want probably about a cup or two of basil. And let me get this out of the way. A cup or two of basil. Then we're also going to do some garlic. And I usually just kind of roughly chop it. Make sure the little skins are off. Just roughly chop it. That way your blender has a little bit easier of a job to do. And we're going to add about 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. So if you really love garlic like I do and you want a little bit more of a garlic flavor to your pesto, then you just add more garlic. No mess, no fuss. And let's go ahead and do that. And while I'm mixing my pesto, I will go ahead and tell you guys that I have my oven preheating to 500 degrees for the pizza. And if you have a pizza stone, go ahead and pop that pizza stone in there with the oven, with the temperatures and everything rising. That way your pizza stone is nice and hot as well. A lot of people make the mistake of using or thinking that they can just form their pizza on the pizza stone, pop it in there. But remember, if that stone is cold, then it's going to be longer to cook. All right, so we've got our basil, we've got garlic. I'm going to add some salt. Now be easy on the salt because remember, we're going to add Parmesan as well, and that's already slightly salty. And we're going to add about a cup or so. I like cheese, so we're going to add more. And then most of the time when you do pestos, you add pine nuts. I'm going to add a half a cup of walnuts. It's going to give it a really nice nutty flavor that's going to be perfect. And let's go ahead and close this up. And we're just going to pulse it to start with. And then we're going to add about a half a cup of olive oil. I usually eyeball it, and we're just going to pulse as we go. You want that pesto to be becoming really nice and almost like a paste. And remember to scrape off your sides. And if you prefer your pesto to be a little bit more runny, if you're going to use it as a sauce or something for your pasta, add more olive oil. If not, then then just use it like it is. And that is perfect. All right, so let's set that aside and get some of these bowls out of the way. I love to clean as I go. Okay, so for our pizza, like I said, that stone has been preheating in my oven with the whole entire heat and everything. And I love these little things. You guys know by now I love my Big Green Egg. And they have these great little pit mitts that I can actually lift up that stone because it will be hot. Now, if you're doing this at home and you don't have a marble countertop, then go ahead and use a wooden block, or maybe just put a piece of fabric underneath. That way you don't burn your countertops. You can, if you want to form your pizza, do all the toppings and then move that to the pizza stone, but I find it easier to just bring my pizza stone out, sprinkle my stuff on there, do it fairly quickly, and then pop your pizza in. And I love these mitts because they can handle the heat. So before we do that, let's go ahead and do some mise en place. Let me just get my little tomato knife. I love to cut tomatoes with a serrated knife because it just slices right through. So I love these small little tomatoes that I picked up at the farmer's market because I almost feel like I get more tomato on my pizza because they're so small and so cute. So we're going to go ahead and slice some of this up. And you can use grated mozzarella. Don't you love the way I pronounce that? Just like the Italians. You can use grated mozzarella, but I love to get these big chunks like this, and then we're just going to break off those chunks, and it's going to be so nice and yummy on the pizza. I think this is almost good enough. So some people like to remove these core or these little core things off of the tomatoes before you slice them. But I find with the small little tomatoes like these, it doesn't bother. You can't hardly taste it. It doesn't feel like you're chawing down on a piece of wood. So I actually just include that into my pizza. It makes it a little bit more rustic. Okay, so let's get our pizza stone out. Like I said, I love these pit mitts. And let me get this out. And I'm going to set it right here. Now I'm leaving just a little bit of that pizza stone off of the edge. That way I can go ahead and grab it easily to pop it back in the oven. So remember, cornmeal. And I'm pretty generous with my cornmeal. See how it's already going straight to cooking away. So you want to work fairly fast with this. I'm going to coat my hands with some olive oil. I'm going to grab this, my pizza dough. And I cannot do it like the Italians, or some people can with their, they stretch it and mold it. And I like thick crust. I don't know about you guys. I like thick crust. Oh, I've got a hole in there. There we go. And we're going to pop that right onto our stone and spread it out some. It's already cooking. The stone is really nice and hot, I can tell you that. And then is where the pesto comes in. We're going to grab some of this pesto and spread it right on top of our pizza. And this basically is, instead of your marinara sauce, we're using the pesto. And you can be generous with it. It's just delicious and dewy. Not dewy, juicy. Okay. And then our little tomatoes. And this is where I just love to do these. Now, if you want, you can add bacon, or you can add prosciutto, or if you have any other favorite toppings of yours, this is the perfect time to add that. And then we use the mozzarella and just break off clumps. And you can be generous with it. It's just going to melt right into that. It's perfect. You can also cut these if you don't like the rusticness. You can cut them in small little cubes. I like the little broken pieces. I think it's cute. I've got mozzarella flinging everywhere, like a true Italiano. Okay, so this is ready to go on. If you want, you can sprinkle some pepper. And I like pepper, so we're going to sprinkle some pepper. And then this is going to go straight back into your preheated oven. And there you go, no mess, no fuss. It's already, the bottom has already started to cook. Now, remember with the cornmeal, you don't want to add that cornmeal long before time. There we go. Let me get my oven light turned on. I think it's, there we go. You don't want to add it too long before time because it will burn. Cornmeal will burn very easily. So we've got our pizza in the oven. Let's clear this up some. And then we can get started on our pasta. Now, I used some store-bought cheese stuffed tortellinis. I usually don't make my own tortellini pasta. Ooh, I can't even say pasta. But I basically just cooked them off. Now, when you cook your pasta, remember you want to cook it to al dente, which basically means firm to the tooth. Some people test their pasta and they throw it up on the ceiling, and if it sticks, it's perfect. Well, you want to get to that point right before it sticks. But anyway, so I've got my tortellinis, and when a lot of people make the mistake, they think that if they add oil to the water while the pasta is cooking, it will keep the pasta from sticking. But folks, remember, oil and water do not mix. So all you're doing is wasting that oil because it goes right to the top, it floats there, and it doesn't help anything. So what I usually do when I cook my pasta, I cook it, and when it's ready, I drain it, and then either if it's going to be used in a salad like I'm using right now, then I will rinse it off with cold water. If not, what I do is after I've drained it, then you toss it with some olive oil, and that will keep it from sticking. Okay, so we've got our tortellinis, and I'm a firm believer in the more olive oil, the better. So I'm just going to drizzle just a tad. I did rinse it off with some cold water, but just to give it, just to relax it, relax your tortellinis. And let me move this out of the way. Okay, so then we're going to start adding our beautiful veggies. I've already chopped up my yellow peppers, so we're going to add that. And our orange peppers. Let me get that out of the way. Just set this back here. And then our tomatoes. Now, I love these great little medleys of tomatoes with yellow tomatoes, and I think these are Kumada tomatoes or something. And so what I usually do is I slice them in half, especially when they're slightly big. There we go. Especially like they're slightly big, like these little cherry tomatoes. But there's some grape tomatoes in there, and I just slice them and toss them in there. I remember as a kid, I absolutely loved tomatoes. I still do. That's what my favorite thing about summertime is, probably that I get to eat basil and tomatoes. Because as a kid, whoops, this one doesn't want to play. As a kid, I used to, one of my friends growing up, we were best friends growing up, we used to take the tomatoes and a salt shaker, and we would go sit outside and eat it like it was an apple. And we absolutely loved it. Needless to say, I met the same friend in New York a few months ago, and needless to say, she said that she still does that, and so do I. So we've got our tomatoes. And now, if you do want to keep your little cherry tomatoes whole, you can. I just think it's so pretty. Tomatoes are so pretty on the inside, so why not showcase that in your beautiful, vibrant salad? And there we go. Oh, and I forgot to set my timer on the pizza, but it's probably going to go about 10 to 15 minutes, if not sooner. I'm going to check on a minute. It depends, and I usually cook my pizza on my bigger egg. But if your temperature is way on up there, it's very fast. It sometimes takes 5 to 7 minutes for it to be done. So don't mind me peeking. Ah, look at that. That is absolutely beautiful so far. So we'll let that go for a little longer. I have a feeling we're going to have about 5 or 7 more minutes, and that pizza's going to be ready. Okay, so we've got our tomatoes in there, and I still have these 2 tomatoes left from there, so why not add them to that too? Let's not waste any tomatoes. And what I love about this salad is it's so easy, it's summery. You can prep it beforehand. So before your guest gets there, you can prep it. So This is a perfect dish to add to anything that you're doing. So if you're grilling some steaks, if you've got friends coming over and you're grilling some steaks, this is a perfect dish to prep beforehand. That way you're making your entertainment easy and painless. So like I said, I love these little mini cucumbers. They're so cute, number one. Number two, they're so nice and sweet. I had one for breakfast this morning, I have to admit. So we're gonna add our cucumbers, and you don't have to peel them because that skin is where all the nutrients lie. So if you have a husband or kids that you usually have to sneak in their veggies, this is a great way to do that. And of course I know that because I have to do that with my own husband. Uh-oh, I've got cucumber flying everywhere. So if you have some cucumber left over, take some cucumber and some fresh strawberries and add it to some really nice ice cold water, and then you have your beverage ready to go as well for the next day. All right, so we've got our cucumbers, and then we're gonna add our pesto. Now I'm just gonna remove this blade. Uh-oh. Knowing how clumsy I can get. And we're gonna add that to our salad. And then you just start tossing it. I mean, look at these colors. They're absolutely perfect. It's, oops, what happened? It's perfect for summertime. It's such an easy recipe. And you don't have to add anything to it because your pesto is your marinade / vinaigrette. It's so nice and vibrant. And it will actually taste better the next day. So if you have people coming over, go ahead, get your prep done, marinate your steaks. That way when they get here, you can go sit outside, enjoy a nice glass of wine, and have your stuff ready to rock and roll. I mean, look, that is absolutely beautiful. You've got your cucumbers, your peppers, your tomatoes, and your pesto, which gives it a really nice, vibrant, summery color. Okay, so let's set this aside. Oh, I can go ahead and plate it up because I know I'm going to be enjoying some of this later on. And here we go. This is a perfect serving. I love these little bowls. My mom is a ceramic artist, and she made this as gifts for us for our wedding. These little pottery bowls. I mean, look how pretty. That is just absolutely beautiful. So then if you want, if you've got some fresh basil laying around somewhere, actually let me set this over to the side, then you can garnish with a little sprig of basil, and it's gorgeous. People will think you're really fancy, and really you're just smart about it. All right, let's check on our pizza. I'm so excited. I'm always excited to check my oven. And here we go. Oh, it's beautiful. And that looks perfect. It looks perfect, but it needs just about 2-3 more minutes. You want that cheese to get really nice and bubbly. And you want to make sure that your crust is cooked all the way. So since I'm waiting, I do believe I will taste my own salad. And just make sure that I taste as I go and not poison. That's perfect. I really get the cheese, I get the pesto, all the flavors, different flavors, garlic, the Parmesan. That's absolutely perfect. Now I will say this, a lot of times when you mix up salads like this, you may ask, well, how long is that good to stay in the refrigerator for? I usually find my rule with salads, especially salads like these that has fresh veggies in it, my rule is usually no more than 3 days. You can go longer if you, I mean, the marinade will keep it really nice and preserved. But after a while, those veggies, and especially the tomatoes, are going to get mushy, and it's not going to be that great anymore. So I will say 2 to 3 days tops, no more than 3 days. But I'm usually by the second or third day, first or second day, I'm usually ready to throw out that salad. But then again, with this salad, it's such a great recipe that you're not going to need to throw it out. Trust me, you will finish it. Okay, let's get our pizza out. And like I said, if you have a marble countertop, you could just set it straight onto it, or granite, or you can use a wood block or a piece of fabric like a cloth or something to put that on. And this is beautiful and perfect. Ah, smell of the pizza. Okay, so of course you guys know me, I love my beginner gadgets, and this is one of them. It's the pizza peel. So if you have one at home, go ahead and scoop that pizza off of there. I usually try to scoop my pizza, and I'm just gonna actually put that straight onto this cutting block. I scoop my pizza off of the pizza stone because I don't want to be cutting. If you cut on this ceramic, then sometimes it tends to make your pizza rolling thingy, pizza cutter, it tends to make it dull. So I usually take it off of there. And let me turn my oven off and my timer so that it doesn't go off. Okay, and let's see what this tastes like. Actually, I'm gonna let that sit for just a second and get cold, and just say that I love pizza. There we go. This is perfect. You can just see all the nice cheesiness of that. Ooh, that tomato is hot, but it's perfect. But it smells delicious. It's something different to do. So when you have friends and family over and you just got done making so much pesto, this is a great way to show off your skills and show off what you can do with pizza. I mean, look at this piece of pizza. It is absolutely beautiful and so nice and cheesy. It's almost like a guitar string. It's absolutely beautiful and absolutely delicious. Easy recipes that's doable, that makes you entertaining, very easy. Guys, get out there, go make some pesto. It's summertime, enjoy your summertime. I have many recipes on my website, livinglinkie.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter if you just want to keep up with me or see some great cooking tips. And thank you so much for watching me. I'll see you next time.